Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Hangout on Air on streaming video with Google Cloud Platform and Streamovations. I'm sitting here with John and Jill from Streamovations and my colleague Matt, who's in the Amsterdam office and is joining this Hangout also. Welcome. My name is Edward Boete and I'm the head of Google for Work in Belgium and Luxembourg. I'm in business for a few years now, and when I go to a business meeting, I try to be prepared. So I typically go to google.com and I Google on the person's name which I will be meeting, the company's name, their strategy. I try to prepare myself. And the last few months, actually, I don't look for websites and text information anymore. I look for videos, because a video gives much more information about this person, the strategy of the company, etc. It gives you much more emotions. The voice can go up and down. There's emotion in it, etc. So we kind of consider video as a new search. Now let me share my screen with the presentation, and let's discuss how video is changing my life. Video is considered to be the new standard for search, and as you probably know already, YouTube is part of the Google family, and YouTube can be considered as the second largest search engine. Did you know that every minute there's more than 100 hours of video uploaded every minute, and 1 out of 4 is uploaded through a mobile phone? So you can imagine how much load that puts on our network and on our data centers. Even more, we don't have only this YouTube load on our data centers. We also have the search, the Android, the Google+, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Earth, and all the Google services are running on this giant network of data centers connected to each other. And so 1 year ago, Google decided to open up this network and these data centers to external customers. So customers can offload their own data centers and put these loads on the Google Cloud Platform. And one of the companies who did that is Streamovations. Streamovations built a service, a video streaming service on top of Google Cloud Platform. And that is exactly what we're going to explain in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. Let me give you a heads up on the agenda. After this welcome and introductions, I will hand over the floor to Matt, my colleague who's sitting in the Amsterdam office. And after Matt having explained the Google Cloud Platform, the guys from Streamovations will take over and will explain how you can load your video streaming onto this new platform. So let me hand over the floor to my colleague Matt over there in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Matt, how is the weather in Amsterdam today?
It hasn't started raining yet, so that's a pretty good day here in Amsterdam. That's not reality behind me, though. That's just a painting. So it looks a lot nicer in the painting, doesn't it?
Okay, cool.
Hey, so thanks, Edward and John. So I'm going to start by talking about a very brief overview of the technological and financial trends that are driving people to the cloud. Why companies go there and what benefit they're getting out of it. How Google.com's infrastructure is being externalized, is being made open to all of you out there to run your own applications and services on Google.com's infrastructure. Then a very short overview of the different products available that have been externalized, with a focus on the ones that Streamovations is using today. And finally, a nice short little use case of a non-video streaming, because I know John is going to talk a lot about some great video streaming cases but a use case which I think is a great illustration of why you might need scaling and why I think most of the people listening to this need scaling. So I'm going to share my screen and present some slides here. To begin with, a very quick overview of the IT trends that are driving the move towards cloud. Storage capacity, compute capacity is becoming incredibly cheap out there, and this is allowing a move towards massive data centers that people can share, where they can share resources and get their own resources, build on top of a massively efficient data center, which is run well and run efficiently, which is much, which in the end turns out to be quite a big cost savings over building and running your own data center. The technology is changing to allow this. The financial details are changing to allow this. One of the biggest things that changes to allow this, that drives this, is not a technology question, but actually a financial question. Because when you start growing, and needing a lot more computing power, the question is, do you need that computing power all the time? Most of the time, you need computing power in very distinct bursts, either predictable bursts or unpredictable bursting. And this can be a real challenge to provision for. I'd like to move away from this rather abstract diagrams to a real-life application that's out there, and take a look at the peaks that this application goes through. This is a real application running out there in the media industry. And take a look at, I'd like you guys, since you can't answer me, think about it a little bit and guess what kind of application this be, or who's using this application, or what company is using it. But if what this application saw was every 10 minutes, a huge spike, where for about 60 seconds, they would have 600,000 users using their application. Now, if they had, this is very hard to scale for, because they need to buy a ton of servers to scale up to to survive this need, without making their users quite unhappy when they don't get results, or when the results are very slow. So they can either buy enough servers up to the green line and handle those spikes, or they can buy servers up to the red line and just accept that some users aren't going to be happy. But no matter how high you set that green line, eventually, if your service or your application or your project is successful, you're going to go above that green line, and you're going to get bad results for your users. So what you really need instead of that is a model where the application resources available scale very quickly up to meet the needs, and very quickly down, and you're not paying for anything outside of that red line. And it's really amazing, the cost savings, when you really start thinking about this, the cost savings that you guys can make when you engineer your applications to scale up and down rapidly like this. So how do we do this? I'm going to get back to the end which customer that was, but first I'm going to talk about how we do that. Google has been building a very large, I think probably one of the world's largest data centers for the last 15 years to handle the growing needs of Google.com, of our ads business, and all of the related infrastructure. Because we need to crawl the entire internet every day, and we store that every day. So this is an incredible amount of computing power. We've learned to be very, very good at the infrastructure required to efficiently manage this, to secure it, to make sure everything's secure, to make sure everything's reliable, to make sure that the performance is consistent. Because you don't want to think that you have 100 or 1,000 machines for your application, but really they're being crowded out by noisy neighbors. So this whole infrastructure that Google has built up is what Google.com has been running on for the last many years, the tools that internal Google engineers use. All of the cloud platform products that we're talking about today are built on that exact same infrastructure that powers Google. So this is us externalizing the tools, the processes, the good engineering that makes us cost efficient and scalable and reliable and extremely fast. making it available for you guys to build your own services and applications on. And that's what Streamovations has done, and that's what you guys can do too. A second thing that helps in this story is a network that spans the globe. So Google has its own gigantic, it has its own network cables, which is, I think, the largest network of non-ISPs connecting our data centers. This is private Google-owned cable that only Google traffic goes over. So if you look at the software-defined network that goes over this fiber, you can see how we've connected our data centers together across the world. And these are just the main data centers. There's also further sort of breakout data centers that bring traffic even closer to your users. And there's really no competition for traffic. Google controls the traffic on all of these between all these data centers. What that means, to bring that specifically to the Streamovations and the streaming video question today. I know that today's session is generally focused on the Benelux region, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. The two the two cloud platform data centers in Europe are hosted in Belgium. So all of this stuff is running extremely close to the users you have today, and you're going to get really fast, low latency, high bandwidth connections to your users, because we will, because you're running in Belgium and it needs to just go to the closest breakout point to your users. However, I have a feeling, since you're distributing video over the whole world, you're probably expecting that you also have users in Asia or in America, or at least you're hoping that you'll get them. When your users connect to this over to your streaming services over the Google network, they're not going to travel over the high latency internet traffic. The streaming traffic is going to go from the Belgian data center across Google Fiber to the closest point. So say someone in Vancouver is watching, it will go to the Vancouver data center over Google traffic and just go the last mile to that user. And not only, we're continuing to invest in these data center and network because Google.com keeps growing, but we know but we're making the services available, the cloud platform services available externally as well. So both Google.com and the cloud platform services are growing together with these investments. The third thing that makes this that makes Google Cloud Platform a good host for these sort of highly reliable, highly scalable, and highly available solutions is the Google innovations in software. So we have only made Compute Engine, the tool that Streamovations is using, available to the public for the last 2 years or so. But all of these tools have been developed and used internally over the last 15 years in Google. So they're very mature products that were used internally and then are being exposed externally. And you can see that with a lot of other Google innovations. So the MapReduce white papers published back in 2004 gave rise to the open source Hadoop movement. The Bigtable white papers published externally. We use Bigtable internally as a high reliability data store. This gave rise to the MongoDB and NoSQL movement in the world. So you can see how a lot of these tools that we're using are quite mature inside Google, and we're now exposing them for you guys to build services on. Wired took a look at this whole collection of network, infrastructure, and software, and they gave us a very good review in terms of the cloud platform being able to handle just about any traffic that you throw at it. So a lot of times people are a little confused about the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service model. I'm going to break this down in 60 seconds, hopefully. Packaged software would be if you wanted to run these streaming services yourself on-premise or at a hosting center, you would be responsible for setting up the networking, the storage, the servers. Then on top of that, managing the operating system, managing the middleware, managing the application for the streaming services. This is all possible, but a lot of these things you don't want to do. you're not interested in it, it's not your core business. So we offer several services. We offer software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure service, where Google handles more or less of the management for you. Today with Streamovations, we're talking about the infrastructure as a service layer, where Google engineers and Google IP is handling all of the network, all of the investment in storage and servers and in the virtualization technologies. Then you get Streamovations handling on top of that for you, managing the operating system and the application, helping you out with that to make sure that runs smoothly. So in short, by using this combination of things in the cloud, you can really save on your capital and operational costs. You really have no capital investment anymore to launch a new project. You can just start and pay only operational costs, and because of the rapid scaling up and down, this turns into operational savings as well. You can scale like mad. You can do things that it allows small companies to do things that they really never thought would be possible. I think a good example is Snapchat, which is a team of 31 engineers and business people launching a service that is handling 500 million photographs a day. They recently turned down a purchasing offer for $3 billion for those 31 people. So this is the kind of scale that's possible with small teams. You can reach things that you didn't think were possible before. And most importantly, it lets you concentrate on your core mission, because your team probably does not want to be setting up content delivery networks, setting up storage, setting up managing servers. You want to be producing really excellent content, and you want to get it to your users, and you want to figure out how to make it get the return on investment from that. To break down the products that are available in Google Cloud Platform, I'm going to be focusing on the red column for the next 5 minutes. But we have compute, where you can handle your computing things, storage, where you can do storage, and additional services. I'll give a very short rundown of storage and services at the end. Compute engine is what we're talking about today. Everything that Streamovations is built on top of our compute engine platform. Compute engine is a way to create virtual machines or instances. So this is very nice because your teams or Streamovations teams understand how to do the infrastructures, how to do the operating system management, set up the right servers on Linux or Windows. But we also provide the high data security. We provide the connection with the Google network. But we give you the tools to provision and manage your instances. We give you the tools to build the solutions you need on that infrastructure. So in a way, anything you could build on a Linux or a Windows cluster, you can do in Compute Engine. Streamovations is going to give their explanation of what they built for you. Also, you have sub-hour billing. So you pay for the first 10 minutes that a server is running, and after that you pay by the minute. So if you need to scale up, say you're running an event that has sort of some idle time in it, you can scale all your servers down for 1, 2, or 3 hours, scale them up for 30 minutes when you get a lot of traffic coming in, and turn them all off again when the event's over. We also handle load balancing, monitoring, snapshots, things like that, which make the management of these environments quite easy for you. A very short talk about App Engine. I don't even have any slides except for this. App Engine is a platform as a service. So in this case, if you were interested in something like this, a platform as a service is where Google manages not only the network and the hardware, but also the operating system and the runtimes. You just write your code and deploy to App Engine, and it will scale automatically for you. Storage services. We have a variety of storage services available. We have cloud storage for blob storage or for large file storage, video storage, audio storage. I think John is going to talk about how he uses cloud storage later. We have Cloud SQL, a fully managed MySQL database. in the cloud so that you can put your traditional SQL applications in the cloud. We have Cloud Data Store, which is using a NoSQL database similar to Mongo or Cassandra. As I mentioned earlier, those technologies grew out of Google white papers. And then around that, we also have quite a few other services. So BigQuery is a very good example of a fully managed business intelligence system where you can do queries and explore data over petabytes of data, combining your corporate data with other public data sources, things like that. Let's see. Use cases that we see Compute Engine being applied to are usually often mobile. When a company needs to build something new, they need a backend for their mobile, and they don't really have the capacity or ability to build it in their current on-premise infrastructure. It's very common for them to build their mobile backend on us. Digital marketing is the same way for marketing campaigns that need to scale, need to be built up quickly and scale. Gaming is quite a common one where game developers don't know when they launch a game how popular it's going to be, so they can't invest they can't invest upfront in hardware. So they just host on us, and when the game gets popular, then their compute use grows. I think big data and high performance computing I would sort of merge together. Big data is things like Hadoop clusters running large number crunching operations, statistical calculations that take quite a lot of energy, and high performance computing. For instance, the 3D rendering, visual effects companies, the Guardians of the Galaxy film, large portions of that were 3D rendered on computers in the Google network because the company doing the video rendering didn't have the on-premise capacity to finish the job on time or to deliver, and so they burst out to Google's network and did a lot of the 3D rendering on our computers. And when they were done, they were able just to turn off those computers and stop paying for it, no capital investment. So those very spiky traffic I showed you earlier, and I hope all of your applications need that kind of scale. That was a project run by Sony Music. So they had a One Direction Day live stream event, sort of a full day of concerts and interaction with the One Direction band. Not my favorite band, probably not anybody in the demographic of anybody listening to this, but you can all imagine being asked to build an application that supported this. There was a quiz application for them, and they basically had to get this quiz application backend up and running, and they saw these 12 times spikes in traffic. So it would be very low use, very low use, very low use, and then suddenly huge amounts of use. They would get 9,000 queries per second at the peak, and they had an extremely low error rate. And as you saw in that scaling, those scaling diagrams earlier, this was very quick scaling up and down. So some quotes from the head of digital marketing was that it was hard to imagine this app would have been possible so quickly working with anything except App Engine. And I saw a great presentation from one of the developers on the application. He said, we went out for drinks to celebrate the implementation of the application, and the drinks bill was higher than the cloud bill for running the application itself. So in this case, they were able to deliver this amazing service to Sony Music and has spent almost no money or very little money on the compute resources. So finally, we have a lot of different partners doing a lot of different things on Cloud Platform. We have Hadoop, database people, website developers, business information folks, and most importantly, Streamovations doing streaming solutions on our compute engine. Shall I turn it back over to you, John?
Yes, thank you, Matt. Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you for showing us as being a phenomenal partner. From my side, also a warm welcome to everybody on this Google Hangout on Air. It's our first, it's our maiden trip, so this first trip we do as Streamovation on the Google on Air platform. I will talk today, of course, about the scalable streaming solution we have created together with Google, and I will leverage that with the multilingual capabilities. So let me figure out how to start the screen share, but I want to already mention to you that you can post your questions. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post them. We will answer them right after the event. Just a quick look, it should be online now, and if everything is right. So again, so my name is John Van Hoeken, I'm CEO of Streamovations. I'm joined here with Gilles, my colleague, so if any technical questions are, we can just a moment, we are sharing the screen.
John, can I suggest, I think for people viewing from the live stream, the access to the questions is through the little 9 dots, the little configuration dots in the top right of the screen.
Thank you, Matt. So again, so we're Streamovations. Let me start with introducing to you Streamovations, and for us a big announcement is that we became a Google Cloud technology partner. So we are very proud on that achievement, and we are very glad to present today our offering. So in general, Streamovations is a streaming media specialist. So the company was founded in 2008 with a focus on streaming innovations. Based on our focus, we have created a proven streaming platform that is running at our distinguished customers like European Commission, BNP Paribas, and many others, as you can see to the right. Our solution is extended, of course, with multilingual capabilities, but this we will discuss more in depth in the second part of the presentation. And finally, we focus on the end user by making sure that the technology we develop, the stream we produce, can be watched from any device or any configuration. Before we're going to talk about scaling to the Google platform, I would like to give you some insights about streaming trends and what you should look for. So the first, we see actually today there are 3 major streaming trends. First of all, it's mainstream. As you know, video has become a core component in marketing and business strategy for virtually every industry. Imagine how your life would be if you wouldn't have YouTube or the ability to watch the news on your device, seeing products and actions, and so on. Secondly, it's also any device. So you expect, and the consumer expect, to access the content on any device and in configuration. And of course, I don't have to underline it, that it's also a growing business, growing year by year. So if you would look for setting up a streaming platform, here's a few insights. The first thing is you should look for open technology, so which is supported in the broadest sense, because working with proprietary technology, that's like the Achilles heel for any streaming strategy. So make sure that your technology is open and that it's supported maximum by the industry. Secondly, you should look for an open hosting and delivery platform. No restrictions whatsoever, because any restriction or a restrictive hosting and delivery platform will limit your ability to reach your intended audience. And next to that, it's always nice to have robust support and some collective wisdom of an active community. So what you're looking for is people really involved in streaming, really involved in that solution. And finally, you should invest, of course, in a truly future-proof streaming solution, because it will save you time, money, and most probably frustration down the road. And for that reason, or for these reasons, we joined hands together with Google, WOZA, and Streamovations to ensure that you will have a platform based on open technology with maximum industry support. You can imagine that the platform has no restrictions on the level of hosting and delivery. We will serve your content to every outskirt in the world. You will also have the most robust support and collective wisdom of an active community behind it. And if we talk about innovation, well, how we put it, it's in our DNA. But let's have a high-level look on how the platform is built to be really scalable and make a perfect fit with your needs. So how do you scale to the Google streaming platform? Traditionally, you would hire servers in a data center, and you would install some streaming server software, and you would get X capacity. But we see that streaming is growing, and it's an unpredictable business. You could experience peaks if something would happen, think 9/11, and in that case, you want to ensure that you could scale your platform without the end user noticing it. So if we look at the right, we will start with the building blocks of the streaming solution, or the scalable streaming solution, which is managed by us, by Streamovations. So you would have like the browser streaming service that run on the Google Compute Engine, and you connect this with the cloud storage. So you will have access to any files that are saved, or you can save your content into the cloud. What would happen then is that the end user will come through the internet on the Google network, through the firewall and load balancer. They will access the streaming media server, which is on this respect will deliver the stream, of course. So what would happen, and here's the scalable part. So what would happen if demand exceeds your expectations? You don't want your customer left with a timeout or streaming not accessible messages and things like that. No, this platform is having a mechanism. It's called the threshold mechanism we created. If capacity is growing, and the threshold mechanism is built in so that platform will automatically scale by launching seamlessly extra instances with the browser streaming service. And it will continue to do that till the demand is reached. So what you will see, there will be no outage for the end users in the streaming and accessing streaming. But on the other hand, it will do the same. So if viewers decrease, it will decline. So the number of viewers decline, you will decommission the number of servers again, so you don't waste any computer time. So the first conclusions, and I'm probably repeating what Matt said, but what we could do is, with the joint streaming solution, you will take the full advantage of the scalability, reliability, and availability of the Google's infrastructure. We provide 99.5% SLA and 24/7 phone support. And finally, you will only pay what you use in that platform. So this brings us to the second part of the presentation, and that's the story about the multilingual streaming. Why did we find solving the multilingual issue worthwhile, and what does it bring to the customer? That's the biggest question, of course. This brings us to the very beginning, actually, of Streamovations, where we received some questions from the European institutions. They already did streaming of all their meetings, but they used a proprietary format, so it was not accessible for all. As you know or not know, these institutions have the obligations to communicate into 24 languages, and it will grow up to 27 in the near future. So every meeting they held, there has to be supported in 24 languages. They also need to archive these meetings, sometimes for long periods of time, like up to 10 years. So they would produce tremendous amounts of content, more content than there are hours in a day. In other words, a massive operation. So when we started, we had a look at the way multilingual was streamed, so the traditional way, which you see up. So what you would see is they created for every language a video stream. So this means that they have to store all these separate videos and need, therefore, large volumes of storage. And next to that, they have to transfer, of course, these 24 produced streams to the CDN provider for the distribution. No need to say that this requires significant amount of bandwidth. And let alone, you have to consider the fact that they have to encode these 24 video feeds, so which means that you need large-scale encoding infrastructure. So from that point, this was the starting point from the question. So from that point on, our journey started. So we started first with saying it has to be, the format has to be changed to a format which has the most industry support. We looked a bit further and we saw that the common denominator of all these files were the video images. They were always the same except the languages. As you can imagine, these moving images, they contain, of course, the bulk of data, so they would take the most of the storage space. So what we did, we created a unique file structure that only encodes once the video, and it combines it with all the different languages. So, in other words, we would have a reduction of 20, or we need 23 times less the video and we can offer the same and better functionalities because we changed format. We use the H.264 format, so it's playable on virtually every device. So I don't have to explain to you that this way of working represented a number of significant advantages, like you only have one file to handle. So this is much easier than the traditional multiple files, and you can only imagine how much reduction this represents in storage, connectivity, and encoding. We also created some compelling features like replacing audio channels. If there's a mistake in translation, you can shift the audio to make it lip sync. You can synchronize it with PowerPoint slides. So there's a number of functionalities that are on top of that solution. If you would look like, is it accessible to all? I can reassure you that the answer is yes. We support virtually all platforms and end-user configurations. You have to imagine that it has been extensively tested by our customers, so they have virtually tested every platform. So I would say that we have like 99% coverage of the market. Again, this brings us to the question, so it's good we have the multilingual streaming. We know that it's available for everybody, but does it scale in the same way as we mentioned before on the streaming platform? Again, the answer to that is yes. The only difference you would have now is that there's an extra multilingual layer, so it will make sure that if someone wants to see the video, he will get the video image with the corresponding language. There's also the video management system, which is on top, so you can actually manage your streams, starting a stream, stopping a stream, all those things. If you have a question on who could rely on, who can rely on us, well, I said in the beginning, video has become a core component in marketing and business strategy for virtually every industry. And if you look at our references, you can see that we work for the most diverse customers. So do understand, if you choose for us, you would have the most complete platform supporting multilingual streaming. And if you are one of the millions of companies that communicate with videos or communicate in more than one language, you should get in contact with us, because we are very, very keen to see how we can help you. And finally, if you would like to test the platform, you can try it yourselves. We have a number of things you can try for free. So just send us or ping us an email over, and we will give you some credits to test it. Anyway, in the meantime, Gilles will post a demo of the platform so that you can have a look this time or after the meeting on seeing the platform in action. This was something we did for the European elections, so it's quite interesting to see with all the different languages how it works. For the rest, the only thing I can do is thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please pop them over so we can have a look at it. And yeah, thanks.
I see there are no questions which are put into the Hangout on air. However, if you feel you still have a question, feel free to drop by at the Google offices. Drop a note to John at Streamovations. Remind us of your email address.
So it's john@streamovations.be.
Or myself, Edward Boete @google.com. Looking forward to meeting you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.